Hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to RHCSA workshop. I'm Saili Mandle. I work as a HR at Webasha Technologies.
Till
I'm the person who will be helping you with the introduction of trainer and Vivasha technology. Let's take a look about Vivasha technologies. Vivasha is an education platform since 2014, providing rigorous industry relevant program designed and delivered in collaboration with world-class faculty and industry. Okay, so next is 100 plus training courses, 95% certification passing rate, live instructor classroom, online training, 100% placement assist. And next we will see who is our instructor. So our instructor is Satendra Pal, senior technical trainer and consultant. Moving on about Satendra Pal, he has a vast experience in delivering corporate training and solution as a freelancer for the companies in deployments and implementing securities. Mainly focuses on AWS, Azure, Red Hat, Linux, virtualization, OpenStack, and OpenShift deployments and implementation automation with Ansible and Ansible Tower implementation, and writing playbooks to automate infrastructure management. Having over 15 plus years experience in infrastructure services, including planning, designing and implementing servers and information security systems. He trained 45,000 plus students in various technologies. He handled in-house training for prestigious clients such as Amdocs, Oracles, Accenture, TCS, Wipro, IBM, etc. If we look at the following slide about Satyendra Pal certification, we can see he is certified with AZ 900, AZ 104, AZ 303, AZ 304, AZ 400, AZ 500, DP 100, AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker. Many more are there. Red Hat Certified System Administration, etc. Now I would like to discuss about Webasha Technologies training program. Can everyone hear me? Am I audible?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, thank you so much for the confirmation. Okay, moving on about Webasha training program. So we do provide services like training materials, soft copy handbook. We offer full day lab practice, assignments, test paper, live project, interview question and answers. About Webasha Technologies Training Certificate, Webasha will provide you with an industry-recognized authorized training center of global brand like Red Hat eCouncil course completion certificate which has lifelong validity. So this is all about Webasha training program. So here is how I unlock my Webasha certificate. So you have to attend complete batch and submit at least one completed project. Okay, so now I invite senior trainer Satendra Pal and he will brief us about the subject with their knowledge and thoughts.
Hey all, I hope I'm audible. Just team confirm me. Guys, anyone
Yes, sir.
confirm me that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for confirming me. Okay, and the team, please stop your screen share. So let me share my screen. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible to you guys, right? Okay.
Yeah, available.
Okay, thank you too. Okay. So what we have, I'm not going to follow those slides and all those things. Okay, so again, I'll introduce about me, like who am I and all those things, like especially the technologies, what I'm delivering those things, the open source technologies, then the cloud, then the securities, and then the automations and all, right? Now what we're going to learn that, right? When we're talking about those informations and then those, guys, please do not share your screen, right? So that could be mirroring. So I request everyone, please do not share your screen. Okay, thank you. And if anything required, you guys simple unmute yourself and then ask me, not a problem, right? But what I recommend now, right? So let me finish now what we are going to discuss and what we agenda we have that, okay? And then we'll take a single questions answer for each of you, right? So don't worry about those and do not hurry about those, like how we can go this and all those things. We'll reply everyone the questions and all those. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so what I'm trying to mention especially in today agenda, right? We were discussing about what RSCSC especially, okay, and now what version we are using that. We can say the point what we are going to cover that, okay, and how as a fresher or as experienced guys, you guys can move your career in the securities in the case of cloud or automation, or overall we can say in the IT domain. Okay, so jumping on the point, what exactly the RSCSA, okay, and how we can go inside that, and then how we can get the kind of certifications and all those things. It's accordingly we can manage and maintain right now. So what point we have when we're talking about those RSCSA, so that stand for I'm just starting from the scratch actually. So that stand we can say that is a Red Hat, okay, we can say it's a Red Hat certified system administrator, right? So that's the point we can say, like it's not about those content and all. I'm trying to say that, right? The point what we have that when we're talking about those environment, it's like content that Red Hat offer. And maybe if you guys have mind like what Red Hat exactly, right? What Red Hat exactly. So we can simple discuss about those what Red Hat and how we can manage those environment and those scenario and the sections. They will discuss those single point, not a problem, right? So if you checking my screen, so here I mentioned everything like we have like what RHCSA exactly. Yeah, we'll discuss that rel as well. So don't worry about that, right? So what RHCSA, that we can say Red Hat Certified System Administrator. I just mentioned admin here, but it's like administrator, right? Now, here, if you guys know that like what Red Hat, so I just mentioned those about the Microsoft. You guys heard about the Microsoft, I guess. So what Microsoft exactly? We can say it's like MNCs, we can say it's like company and all those things. They have a product actually. What product they have that, right? So they have a Windows product. What Windows exactly? It's like a operating systems, correct? In the same point of view, what we have that we have a Red Hat, right? It's like a company, right? It's like a company, it's a software company, we can say in another word, right? It also provide you a open, so they mainly deal in the open source project, or we can say open source software, right? As Microsoft, you guys know that when you're talking about using the Windows and all those things, right? So we need to purchase the license, correct? In the same case, there is a lot of applications, tool, setup, utility, we can say that, right? That offer you a free to use. We can say in other word, it's a open source, correct? So Red Hat is also a company that offer you a open source, we can say the OS, that name we can say RHEL. I mean, anyone asked that about the RHEL? So that we can say it's like a Red Hat Enterprise Linux. What we have that we can say is like a Red Hat, right? Enterprise Linux. Now, what Linux exactly? So we can say it's like a part of your kernel. We'll discuss slowly, right? It's the part of your kernel that allowed to create your own kind of operating systems and all those things. Minimum says like a OS and all those things, right? But again, when you're talking about those environment, when you're talking deep and dive into the OS part, the descriptions and all those things, it's like a kernel, right? So when we're talking about the environment and all those things, so we'll discuss that single now, right? So in this curriculum or in this webinar, that what we are talking about that when maybe you guys are enter in the IT field and all those things. So any OS, again I'm mentioning that because again, you guys know the hardware and all those things and OS. So mainly on the server side, we have like either you guys can use the Windows based machines, either you guys can use the Linux based machines, right? On the server side, Mac are not going to use that mostly, right? So what options we have then? Either use the Windows based machines or Linux based machines. Maybe you heard about those kind of lot of viruses and all those things that maybe impact on your Windows based machines. So that's why companies like think like that kind of OS or program or applications, right? That help to secure your productions, your services, may with the help of, with the viruses and all those things, some securities feature and all those things. There is a lot of options we have that we disclose single, right? So that kind of operating system that we can use it free, we can customize ourselves, depend on our requirement and all those things, right? And also it's like a viruses free. So that's why most company are using those particular Red Hat, we can say the RHEL operating systems, right? Or what they are using that kind of environment or services that help you to build your applications depend on you, because again, if you guys know that in the Windows, maybe you guys are in this webinar, maybe one or two guys are have experience on all those things, so they know those, right? We have some default behavior of Windows based machine, we can use in that way. We cannot customize accordingly, correct? So what we need as a company or as a TL, as a manager or as a technical guys, right? I need to customize ourselves. So what we need that? We need that kind of concept, that kind of environment where we can build our own kind of setup. Okay, right? So that's a point and all. So again, RHCSA, that is a basic starting point when you guys want to enter inside this particular in this particular scenarios and all those things, right? Now, okay, so I got a questions. We can say, Alan, I hope I'm pronouncing your correct name, yeah? So we can say it's like a Microsoft exactly, right? As you mentioned that like it's like a RSS is like a same Microsoft, that's correct actually, right? So depend on that, like they are offering the different kind of thing. So they have a different certifications and all those things, they have a different certifications, that right? Maybe you guys are, so Microsoft is like a Azure, they are mainly focused on that, but again, when guys enter in the system and in the IT field, then you know, you need to know about those kind of Linux, Windows or any kind of operating systems. Okay, so that's a point and all those things. White and Red Hat is a company, is a company actually, Red Hat, and we're talking about the white hat. So that we have a securities feature. Then talking about the black hat hacker, white hat hacker, gray hat. So this is about those hacker that we know as a white hat hacker, right? Here Red Hat is like a name of a companies, right? Who build a, just like a Microsoft, right? Similarly, Red Hat is a company who build a open source software, right? So you guys can use, one or to use that, you can use that. Okay. Now, so what exactly we have that again I'm mentioning, right? Okay. So again I'm mentioning what point we have that in this particular RHCSA course content and scenario, right? A simple talk about how you guys can operate Linux based machines. Linux means not about the RHEL, right? Because there is a lot of OS that is built on Linux based, right? We have like RHEL, then we have like CentOS, maybe you guys heard about that, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, you guys heard about those for the hacking, we can use the anti-hacking and all those, we are using that, right? We have like Parrot operating system. So there is a lot of Linux based, or we can say open source technologies, right? And with the help of these technologies, what we can do, we can simple manage, maintain, or entire infrastructures depend on the like how we want to manage those things. Because again, when you search about those job preferable about those, like I need a Linux administrator, I need a Linux analyst, I need a Linux engineer and all those things, right? Even though if you guys want to enter in the cloud, maybe the AWS cloud, Google and all those things, maybe you guys want to do in the automation, maybe the Python programming, or maybe the YAML programming and all those things, or you guys enter in the securities field, we can the cyber securities, cloud securities, many more things, or we have a data center securities, right? So everywhere we need at least the basic Linux knowledge. If you don't know the Linux knowledge, right? So that company, actually, when you check the JD for the company and all those things, they simply mention that I need at least the basic Linux. But now today era is not a basic actually. You guys know about those, right? Basic means we can say the intermediate level, not a basic. No, we don't need a basic and all those things. We need at least who know those are how we can operate those system. Operation means managing users, group, policies, packages management, process management, and then securities firewall of the systems. Correct? So these are informations, right? Like we can use that in the same point of view, right? So what we are going to do that again, or what we are going to learn this in this particular course content, because we cannot complete all those in like 1.5 or maybe the 2 hours, but I just let you know like what we are going to cover when we are going to enroll for the same thing, right? So again, that we are going to provide like what exactly Linux, especially, right? Maybe you guys heard about Linux and all those things, right? And even though if maybe you guys are from the developing background, if you know some kind of C++ and all languages, maybe somehow, right? Then we'll discuss like how wanted to customize your system depend on your company requirement, then we'll also discuss in the same point of view when we're talking about those environment and those sections, so that we can say the customizations of Linux and all those things, right? And then all the theory part, right? And then we talk about how we can install RHEL operating system, or we can say any kind of OS. One more thing I wanted to mention here, we don't need to learn these single OS, right? If you know, anyone know those basic Linux, right? You guys can operate any Linux based machines. There is just some changes, we can say like 5 to 7% changes, right, in the command. Why? Because again, let's suppose I'm a company and you guys are a B company, let's suppose that, right? We both are using the same kernel, right? So what I can do, I can change some command, some environment, we can say the UI part, or we can say the front end back end, according our companies, and you can change according to your company, but other things are remain same. So similarly, the company who are using the Linux and all those things, they slightly change environment, other things, we can say the kernel related part are remain same, so that we can provide on all those things. Okay, so similarly, we talk about how we can install RHEL, and if you know any kind of installation, you guys can install. Again, one more point I want to mention here, more I can mention multiple things. So similarly, when we're talking about those installations of RHEL, so if you guys need to learn, you guys can download and you can use anything. It's like a simple OS, as we are using a Windows based machine, but again it's like command and command line. If you guys maybe learn or maybe watch somewhere else in the movies and all those things, we have a command line OS and all those things where we can provide lot of things, right? Data processing and all those things. So everywhere we can say, in the, again, securities point of view, the blockchain concept, right? Even though the machine learning, right? The data. So to process those requests and all those things, we need a high level, a kind of processing, right? So we have a hardware and all those things, but without OS we cannot run that. So to run everything smoothly, we need a hardware and also need a OS, right? So we can say it's like open and powerful program, right? That build, automate, deploy everything, right? Whatever you need that, right? Because today technologies, we can say in everywhere, maybe any we can say any domain, maybe you are in the IT domain, you are in the finance domain, maybe you are in the sales, or maybe you are in the hospitality, everywhere we have a technology. So you guys need to know like how we can secure, monitor, manage, maintain everything, right? So that's a point that we are going to manage installation of RHEL and all those things, we can do that, right? And then we learn that, right, like how we can manage, right? The RHEL manage means, I'm trying to say that manage means operations. Operations is what? Like again, in the Windows based machine, when we need something, right? We need means what we can say, want to watch movies and all those things, want to listen song and all those things. We need a mouse and all that we can explore, then we can click somewhere else, right? In the same point, we learn like how we can operate Linux, the basic one. So we can say how we can manage or operate RHEL basic, okay? And then when you guys are pro in the basics and all, right, it will take maximum like 5 hours and 6 hours, right? So when you guys pro in the basics, then we'll discuss the advanced operations of the Linux, because again, basics not now basic, right? We need at least intermediate part, okay? So then we'll discuss about the advanced RHEL operations, or we can say the Linux operations and all those things. Correct? So that's the point that we can manage in the same point, okay? And then in the advanced, that what we are going, okay, so one more point I wanted to mention here. In the basic point of view, what we are going to learn, right? How we can create a file, basic. Maybe anyone know that is good actually, but again, I'm starting from the scratch, so that I mentioned those things. So in the basic, what point we have that we're going to learn like how we can create a files folder, how we can check any file folder content and all those things, the permission and point of view, everything will mention that, right? And in the advanced automations, or sorry, not automation, in the advanced point of view that we're going to talk about those, the installation already that the automated installation with the help of the servers, right? The servers part, you guys maybe heard about those, what server exactly, and the how we can manage those server, how we can troubleshoot the servers, that we are going to learn in the advanced rel and all those things. And we'll discuss about the packages management, how we can manage those packages. It means the software, right? We can manage the users and groups, like in when we're talking about the real world configurations and all those things. So we have this point of view as well, like how we can manage users and group point of view, correct? Then we have a permissions and policies and all those things, because again, operation is not a challenges task. To maintain those systems, to secure those systems is a challenge task for everyone, for every administrator in the real world and in the real companies and all. Right? So with the help of permissions, with the help of securities policies, that how we can manage, so that we are going to learn in this particular scenario and in those sections and all part. Correct? So we have like permission, securities, packages, networking, everything we are going to manage inside this particular environment. Right? So these are like, I'm just mentioning small point, right? When we explore those things, it's like a lot of things, right? It's like a very vast thing, right? Because again, we're talking about the command environment, so it look like a, yeah, this like a lot of configuration. You guys can manage and maintain those points, right? So I'll show you some quick lab environment. Lab means like the system, how it look like that, because maybe the theory part you guys are facing a boring and all those things, but again, I also need that. Okay, so if you guys need that, so that's my environment. Okay, I'm using virtually for now. Okay, so this is my Linux based machine. We can say that for now I'm using RHEL 9. Okay, I'll also discuss that, like what's the new in the version 9 and all those things in the PDF format, right? So if you guys notice now, I'm using my RHEL 9 machines. Okay, so again, one more point I want to mention here. Either you guys you can also use with the help of graphical environment, like with the help of mouse and all those things. But again, in the real world, in the productions environment or in your company, no one using the graphically. In the Windows, we have options, right? We can use that. So what we prefer in this Linux based machine, we are preferring the command line. We means the companies, the productions, not especially me, right? So they are using those particular environment where we can manage and maintain those systems and then those services. No, you cannot use Kali over the server side, right? Kali used for it's like offensive based machines. I'm talking about the operation of your servers, operation of your setups, right? So we cannot use the Kali on those things. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we have options, but again, what we recommend, I mean, as a productions and all those things, we preferly the command line. Command means what we can do that you can simply open the terminal like that, okay, and then you can perform your task. Whatever the task you want to perform, that you can perform in that way. If you notice now, I hope this screen is visible to you guys. Okay, right? So these are a command. You can perform anything. Right? We have like different command and all those things. So we can mention those, like, yes, we have like a command. We can use this like kind of listing to like to checking the file folder and all those things. Right? Similarly, wanted to create a file folder, you can also use the touch command to creating. Okay, one more point. Right? Linux is it's not a like tough task. Simple. You guys need to take an interest further. Like I need to learn those things. You guys learn that. Right? But again, to if you guys think no, it's like command, so you cannot learn, right? But again, in the future, not even the future, even the present, even though, right? Everywhere using a Linux based machines. So if you guys even don't want to learn the Linux, not a problem. But again, after maybe the 6 months maybe, or maybe the years and all those things, right? Everyone or every company are going to use the Linux based operating system. Maybe you are in the IT field and all those things, so you should know about those like Linux and all those things. Right? So what point we have that, okay? The point we have, you guys can create a files folder, right? Again, we have a command. You can create a file folder for the same actually, right? If you notice now here we have a file and all those things, you can create a folder. So, okay, everything is a command in base, right? So even though no need to remember those points and all, right? What you guys can do that, you can simple run everything over your systems, right? We have options. Either you guys can use our lab environment that is available 24/7, 365 days, or if you guys have laptop and all those things with like 4 GB RAM, so what we'll do, we'll simple create a setup over your laptop, and you guys can perform anywhere, anytime, depending on your requirement. So both options are available, right, for the practice and all, because again I'm mentioning these are a practical based sessions, right? You guys cannot remember those in the theory part, like yeah I know this, those, no, the practical part, right? And for the practice we have a lab. You guys can take a remote login just like cloud based and all those things and perform your lab for the practice and all those things, right? And or if you have a laptop, then what we'll do, we'll simple let you know like how to create a lab setup to perform these practical and all those things. You guys can also perform over your lab. So depend like how you want to do that, you can access that. Okay, clear with that? So these are different points and all. Okay, so mkdir command is to creating directory. Yeah, yeah, with that. Thank you. So these are a point and all, right, where we can perform. So it's not about the basic command. There's a multiple things, right? One more thing actually, right? So you just mentioned that if you don't know about any command, let's suppose that, because again, as a human being, you cannot remember all the command. So there is a like unlimited command in your environment or in the any kind of technologies. You cannot remember every command, right? So either you can simply go on Google and search for what command is that exactly, or there is an option for that. Like if you don't know the command, like so simple, you can use the what is command. I just let you know, it's a small point, right? So if you don't know like what exactly the mkdir, either you can search the Google and ask like what exactly the mkdir and all those things, or simple what you can do that, you can simply use this what is command. Okay, so in my case the database is not updated yet. Okay. So there is a command as well. You can use this what is. Either we have option for the manual page to as well, right? So what you can do that, you can use this man page. If you're not sure about what command exactly is. Man means we can say the manual of any command, correct? So if you just go inside that, and if you notice now what the means of that, make directory. And what directory exactly, right? So directory means the folder in the Windows that we know as a folder, right? That we know as a folder here, that known as a directory. So do not confuse about that, right? If you know that, like everyone have a smartphone and all those, they know the basic technical word, right? So we can perform that. The not exactly the command line, but mostly we can say this the command line, correct? So this like environment and all those things. Okay, so the package installation is the part actually, right? So what you can do there, we have a tool in the Linux based machines, especially in the RHEL and CentOS. We have a command like you can use the yum command, either you can use the dnf command, you can use the pip command too as well. For what? For install any packages. So what you can do that, you can simply use yum install, and which package? The telnet. It will install that. Any package you can install that, right? So from your system, if the package is available, right, it will install. If it's not available, it's not going to install that, right? Just give me a second, I'll show you that as well. Okay, just give me a second, I'll show you that as well. Okay, so here if I want to install those packages, then what I can do that, I can simple yum install telnet, correct? But again, if you're not sure about this package available or not inside your system, then what you can do that, you can simply list those packages. And again, if you're not sure about the package name, then what you can do that, you can list the package as well, correct? So this command will showing that is this package are available inside your system or not. If you notice now, this package is not available, but it's not installed yet. It's not installed. If you want to install that, do one thing, instead of this list, what you can do that, you can simple install, correct? Or what you can do there, instead of the yum, you guys can also use the dnf. It's like a utility. It's like a yum, we can say it's like a yellow dog update modified. dnf, we can say denified packages, like a next level command to manage your packages. Want to install those things, you guys can use the dnf, or you can also use the yum. Hit enter. If you notice now, right, they are going to fetch and asking for that. So do you really want to install this or not? So press Y to confirm, otherwise and to change your mind. Look, I don't want to install. If you want to install this, just press Y. It's going to install those packages. If you notice now, correct? You want to verify that this really package installed or not. So you can, if you run this same command, like yum list telnet. So this time, if you notice now, right, what they are saying, this time package is installed. If you remember earlier what they are mentioning, earlier they are mentioning this package are available, it's not installed yet, right? APT, you can use the Debian based machines, just like your Ubuntu based machines, Kali, Parrot, right? Here, there you can use that APT install, right? So it's like a possibility you guys can use that, correct? So if you notice now this package install, want to install now again, so what they are mentioning, the already latest package installed inside your system, right? So everything we can do that. It's not about the single command, guys, right? You guys can perform everything. You can watch the movies, listen to songs, perform office work, everything you can do that, right? But again, it's not a basic thing. We learn from deep and dive and then perform like how real world operate these Linux based machines to perform your actions and all those things. Because again, the maximum servers, right? The maximum giant companies are using Linux-based machines. You've heard about it. Even the Google, Facebook, Amazon, even the Microsoft have a Ubuntu-based environment. If you notice now, maybe Windows 10 and all. If you guys know something about the Windows, so they are using the same actually. So that's why what we recommend, we means the companies and all those things, right? If you are coming to the IT's environment and all, right? The technical companies and all, so you should know about Linux. Maybe you are from any background, it's not a problem. Maybe you are from the development background, or development we can say about the non-technical guys as well. Maybe you guys are any except of those engineering degree, maybe you engineering and all those things. Maybe you are from the any non-technical background, maybe the science or maybe any background, you guys can start your career in the IT and all those things, right? What they need, the technical skill they need. It's not about the degrees and all those things. If you know the technical word, technical skill, you are in pro in your technologies, so the company will refer you for the same, right? So now, so jumping on the point, what we have that you guys can simple manage anything, right? You can perform anything, creating a files, folders, users, permissions, everything you can do that, correct, right? And there is a lot of files folder as well, as we mentioned here. You guys perform some kind of task, the process, the way that we are going to use that, right? So all the setup, all the software that we are going to use that. Okay, so I'm using a RHEL 9 for now, Rahil, I guess. Okay, so I'm using 9.0 Pro versions, Red Hat Linux, I mean the RHCL. Okay, and it's my machine where we provide those resources and all those things, where we have like 8 GB of RAM, right? But again, you guys can use it like 2 GB RAM over there or 4 GB RAM. And even though if you don't have a setup for the same, so don't worry, we provide you a cloud-based lab, so you guys can access anywhere entire the globe, not a problem. So that we are offering for the same. Okay, so this is a point in all those things, right? And when we're talking about those PDF format, right? So now we're jumping on the environment, right? So these are some kind of technical part. These are kind of technical part, right? Like why you should upgrade on the RHEL 9. But again, because what I feel that maybe if you don't know about the what RHEL, then why you're going to upgrade those things, correct? So that's why I explored this thing, what RHEL exactly, right? What RHEL, right? And what Red Hat, and what we are talking now. So it's all about the operating system, right? To configure anything, to jump any ITs and all those things, you should know those basic Linux and all, like how to, because again, you guys are working on the OS and all those things, then how you can perform those tasks, right? What I'm trying to mention that, again, let's suppose every environment, what we have that in every environment, we have a hardware. So let's suppose what exactly we have. This is my hardware, okay? So this is my hardware. Over there, what I need that? I need a operating systems, correct? So let's suppose this is my hardware, and over there that we have operating system. And then what you can do? You can configure multiple applications over this particular hardware, right? So depend on that, like depend on means the resources that you are using over your system, right? So you can use a multiple applications that might be process your request and all those things, right? Now one more point I want to mention here, like what exactly kernel is, because again I mentioned that Linux is a kernel, it's like a kernel. So what exactly that is? Okay, so if I show with the help of diagram, let's suppose what we have exactly, we have a hardware, correct? So over the hardware we have a we can say over that we have a operating system, correct? So I'm just exploring those things, and I just mentioned you this is not a OS, I'm just mentioning those things. Let's suppose I'm installing a kernel. So what I can do that I can directly install a kernel. Installation means we are using a OS entirely, but again I just mentioned that that is my kernel. Okay, and over that kernel what exactly we have, that we have a shell. What we have, that we have a shell, and over the shell we have a users means operator like you and me guys, sorry, I mean you and me, right? So what I can do that like any users or operator perform any task. Let's suppose in the Windows, even though when you click or somewhere else, if that is available, then it process those requests. If something goes wrong, it's not process the request, even though see everywhere, even in the phone, even your Windows based machines, everywhere in the technical world, correct? So what I'm trying to mention, right, if I, yeah, so I just let you know everything, shell and all those things, right? So when users like operator hit enter, right? So that we cannot directly enter the kernel, because kernel is not going to read you. We are humans, right? We need to run that command that you and me as like a human understand those things, right? So let's suppose I just mention a command like let's suppose those ls command. Ls stand for listing, as we know. Yeah, ls stand for listing, right? But so when we run this command in the human readable format, then user cannot directly put the kernel, right? The user first perform to the shell. Now what shell? We can say it's like a mediator and interpreter between your users and kernel, right? So shell is a program. Shell means we can say bash, Python, Ruby, right? These are actually shell. So we can say it's like a multiple C shell, kernel shell, lot of shell we have that, right? So shell is a program, right? So you can run multiple shell or program over your a single kernel, right? Shell means, again what I'm trying to mention, that let's suppose you are a Python developer, right? You design a program in the Python. So when you execute the Python programs, any what we need, any executor that are going to read you. Let's suppose you guys know some other languages, right? And even though I'm not going to understand those languages, what I need a translator, I need a mediator. In the same process, what we have that if we are a user, so user perform any command, then kernel or system search that 10 binary 1010 format, right? We cannot directly give the command to the kernel. So in the same case, between user and kernel, we need a mediator. We can say a shell, correct? The shell means the program, the system that you design or your system going to support that, right? So all the program, maybe you're using a Python, maybe using the bash and all those things that are going to store in your shell program, right? If the command are supported by the shell, then shell pass that command to the kernel. Let's suppose if I just run the shell ls command, hit enter, yeah, it's working fine, not a problem. But I just mentioned l 2 times ss, it's a wrong command. When you hit enter, you are getting error message. What? Bash. If you notice now, what we are getting, this it's a shell name, that is a born again shell. In the rel based machines, by default what we have a bash shell, right? That stand for, we can say it's like a program, but again we are administrator, I'm not going to talk about the program, but I just let you know bash means we can say it's like a born again shell, right? So when you hit enter anything or when you hit something, right, the shell if the command exists inside those, so that command is going to shell to the kernel. If something goes wrong, then shell refuse that to the output operator like yes, this command is not found, right? So it means shell is not going to pass this command to the kernel. Why? Because the shell don't have that command actually, right? The shell don't have that program, so that's not going to pass that, correct? So in the same process, when we run this command like shell, we are getting error message. Bash is a default shell running in Linux based, but we can change that, right? The command is not found. And also they recommend that maybe the similar command is that, maybe just try one more time. So you can try that as well, right? So if the command is correct, then shell pass the kernel and then kernel run that command to your hardware. Maybe one more time, maybe you guys are maybe learn or maybe check somewhere, everything is correct, but again we have kind of getting hardware issues. Why? Because maybe your hardware is not supportable for the same, right? We have like a hardware architecture 32-bit 64-bit, so that we have a problem for the same, right? So similarly, if everything is correct format, not a problem, but again the hardware, the OS, everything should be in the same format and all those things, correct? So again, if everything in the process, we have a user shell kernel, then you can process everything, right? But again, if you're getting error and all those things, we need to fix as an administrator or as an engineer, we need to fix that thing. So that's a task, or we can say the troubleshooting steps in your company. Like something goes wrong inside of kernel, how we can fix that without losing the data, or we can see in the runtime and all those things. So we have like multiple way we can perform in that way, right? So the process what we have, that these are a process that are going to support for the same, right? So what I'm trying to mention again, over the single hardware we have only one kernel, but over the single kernel we can run a multiple shell. How many shells you have, that you can check with the help of this command. It's a shell, right? So these are like shell, bash, sh, bash and all those things. But again, depend on that, you guys can use that. And then you can also run this command too as well to checking the shells and all. Correct? So these are a process and all, right? With the help of this process you can perform those things, right? So these are like some kind of content that we are going to provide for the beginner as well, right? Content is not about those core, but again we have option for the same. The terminal and console, right? Actually the terminal means where we can perform or write something, right? When we're talking about the console, is also a way when we're talking about in the case of network devices, we can say router and all those things, right? Where we can perform some action, right? So we can say in many more method, both are same, right? When we're talking about the command line process and all those things, I mean the OS prospectus, so that we known as a terminal, right? And when we're talking about the network devices, I mean Cisco, Juniper and all those things, we are taking console for the same, so that we can say consoles and all those things. But again, that the process are same, the terms, we are using the terms, so it's not a way, okay? Yeah, so what I'm discussing that, I hope is clear. Yeah, so that's the point and all, right? Now, in the RHCSA actually, right, I'm just simply mentioning RHCSA. So in the RHCSA, we have actually two books that we mentioned that, right? The basic one and the advanced. It's like exam, it's not exam code, it's like your ebook name that we are providing when we are going to start the proper training and all those things. So that we provide the official ebook from the Red Hat and all those things. It's like the Red Hat 1.2 for 1.34 that combined known as a RHCSA. Okay, so that's the point and all those things. And these are like some content, right? It's like a small content. Again, I mentioned it's not a all the content. It's like a brief of your content that we're going to cover inside, right? So the basic command, how you can manage your entire systems and all those things, right? How you can set up your Linux environment over the physical machines, maybe the containerized based machines, or maybe the cloud and all those things, right? Then the network services and all those things, the services like FTP, LFTP, SFTP and all those things that we're going to cover that, right? So these are like small point, right? And even though in the automation that we're going to talk about the servers part and all those things, right? So these are a kind of environment and all, right? So again, earlier we mentioned that why the Linux and all, or why the RHCSA, right? So it's not about RHCSA again, right? I'm not promoting any kind of RHCSA and all those things. I'm talking about the, when you guys want to enter the Linux and in the IT field, you should know about the Linux and all those things, right? Any Linux, right? But again, mostly the company are using those RHEL operating system. Why? Because they have a support for them. Let's suppose I'm a company, I stuck somewhere, right? So where I go? So yes, I have options. I can just call them and raise a ticket and they will support you. Similarly in the Microsoft, right? If you stuck somewhere in the Microsoft and all those things, then what you can simply call their customer care and all those things and then help you accordingly. I mean, what about the service you take that? So similarly, in the case of Red Hat technologies, or in the case of open source technologies, they offer you support and all those things. If you're a giant company and all those things, because they have a product, so they will provide you support. And this is optional, it's not a mandatory. If you know how to fix that, then good to go, not a problem. It's not necessary to take a support from me. Let's suppose I'm Red Hat. So I'm not going to, no, just take a support from me. No. If you are a pro in that Linux technology, then fix yourself, not a problem. And then you can use that. I'm not going to charge for the same. right? So that's like some concept we can use that, right? So the point what we have, right, why the Linux? So similarly, when you are wanted to join in the ITs, or you already in the IT, wanted to upgrade the hike, the salary, the technology, then you to know that, right? So the certifications are global certifications. It's like a valid for entire globe. The certifications, right? If anyone asks, like the maximum company wants the RHCSA certified candidate. Who are RHCSA certified, right? The chances to shortlist their resume is more higher than the fresher or even the experience who are not certified. So that's why, right, what we recommend, if you learn those RSS is enough, not a problem, but again go for the certifications, right? It's like global cert, it's not about those any limited, because it's like a validity, I mean that's like a validity means we can say it's like a what I can say, it's like an advantage for the same for entire the globe and all. Like all the company who are using Linux based machines, so maximum we can say like 80 to 85% company using the Linux and all, right? And they need a certified guys, right? So you can just go for the same, right? If I just mentioned like to career advancement, you guys can go for the same thing, and company using the same point and also you can use in that way. Okay, then similarly industry reconnaissance, and so you can use in there like certifications and all those, right? And again, these exam are a practical based, right? These are a practical based exam, correct? So what you can prefer and what you can do that, you can simple perform the practical, right? Because again, if you maybe heard about those Microsoft exams or maybe the Azure and all, so maximum these are MCQs and all those things, but again these are a practical exam. They provide you a scenario that is a real scenario that is using the company and all those things. You need to perform those things, okay, to clear those exams. It's like a practical based hands-on, we can say that, right? So there's a like lot of benefits, right? Depend on that, like how wanted to go in this particular industries and in this particular scenarios and all those things. So it's like a way where we can check those content and all. Now what prerequisites, right? So what I can say is nothing, right? It's nothing, simple. You guys interested for the same, right? If you just set up your mind like I need to go in the IT industries, right? That's all, right? How wanted to go, how wanted to perform the lab, everything will take care. Take care means we can say every moment or every step will let you know like these are steps you need to follow that, right? So the point of view, if you are a background from the technical, that is good actually, but it's not a problem. Anyone can start their career in this particular technology and then perform their some kind of certain task and certain things. Okay, so and these are a content actually, right? Again, these are like small content. I'm not going to mention that it's like in all the things, right? It's like a small things that are we have mentioned that how we can manage your system remotely, right? How we can manage your files folder, the users, the group, storage, permission, everything you can manage that, right? So it's like a small course content and all those things we can manage in that way, right? So again, now the exams actually. So what exam? The exam code RHCSA exam known as EX200. It's like a basic exam, the first exam, okay? And it's a like again practical based. All the Red Hat exam, I mean Linux exam are hands-on practical based exam, right? So EX200, the total duration is 3 hours, right? Total marking when you're talking about that, it's like a 300, okay? And to pass this exam, you guys need to achieve 210. Even though you got a 10 to 10 to 9 as well, will fail, okay? So to pass those we need at least 210, okay? And there are like 20 to 25 questions are there. You guys need to complete these questions within these hours, 3 hours. You need to complete that, okay? And after passing these certifications, you will get that the global reconnaissance, like we can say the Red Hat certified and certain in the Linux technology, right? The company offer you for the same, you guys can join in all those things. So that's like environment and all. So mostly company are offering those certifications, point of view and all those things. You guys can join that, right? If I just show you that, right, when you explore any job website, let's suppose we have option for the naukri.com. It's like an online portal for the jobs and all those things, right? If I just mention like what I need, that I need a job, right? So what you can do that, you can simply mention that I need a job in the Linux administrator, you can mention that, right? I need a server manager and all those things, you can mention the server administrator as well. Server means all those things, right? You mention the Red Hat as well, Red Hat Linux and all, right? So what you can mention that, you can mention the Linux and all those things, you can mention in that way, or multiple keyword we have that you can mention in that way, like Linux and all those, so you can mention in that way, right? And if you have experience, you can mention experience, but I'm just mentioning for the freshers. Let's suppose I'm a fresher, right? And the simple mention your job location, like I need a India, let's suppose that, right? The job should be in the India locations. Maybe depend on your reason, you guys can source that, right? And then simple, I'm just mentioning 2 or 3 keyword, but there is a lot of keyword, lot of designations for the same. If I just search for the same thing, right, it show the job requirement from 0 to, if you notice now what we have that, right? If you notice now what we have exactly, so these are jobs actually, right? The company offer and provide, right? So it's like some companies, right, they have from 0 to 1 year experience, and what the service they need that, so they need at least these what I can say, the content they need that, right? So these are our services what they need that, the guys who train in like something experience and all those, and also certified engineer and all those, right? And the services like storage, rate, the server management, the log, everything we are going to cover in the same thing. So these things you guys can check that, right? Even though you are in the cloud and all those things, you can also check the cloud field and all those things. So there is a lot of job opportunities, not even in India. There is a, like different countries too as well, right? So you want to check that now. If you notice now, so they have option for the same, right? Even though you can filter with the help of the packages. Let's suppose you guys are freshers, right? So what you can do that, you can simply from the packages and all those things. So this offer may be from 6 to N. If you notice now, what they have that 0 to 4 year experience, right? What they offer that 50 plus 3. So depend on that, like how want to manage those, you can mention the INR, the dollar, the pounds, anything you can mention that, right? So what they need exactly, they need a skill, right? If you have a skill, right, then you're good to go. If you don't have a skill, so again the problem what we have the skill, right? There is a lot of options in this IT environment and IT industries, right? If you know those concepts and all those things, you are good to go. If you don't know the concept and all, so there is a problem. Obviously there is a problem, right? When you're talking about those service and those packages and all, right? So these are like some environment, right? Here we mention everything, okay? The validity of your exam is like 3 years of validity. After that you need to update yourself. That's not about that actually. The company what they need internship, right? So again, if you might maybe enroll for the same, right? So we'll help you out about those as well, right? The if they need internship and all this, maybe from 1 year experience, 1 year, or maybe the 6 months and all those things. So we'll provide those as well. Not a problem. It's not a big deal. Okay. So that's the point, and yeah, so that's the point. And again if you know those concept and all those things, so it's like enough, because again the concept wise is like very cool when you start those learning, right? And these we mentioned the job roles, right? That we mentioned Linux system administrator, there are DevOps engineer, the cloud, the network, the technical. So there's a lot of designations as well available. You guys can search accordingly and then perform some short-term actions as well. So again, it's all about the skill. It's not about the degrees and all those things. I'm not talking that you are a non-technical. Anyone who are interested for the same, just go for the same, right? And these are like a project that we are offer for the same. After completion those course, we have offered the project wise and the certifications too as well if you need that, right? Project means we can say we provide the real world, like let's suppose you need to deploy the kind of servers and you can access those in the real world. Anything goes wrong, you need to troubleshoot, right? And this point we can mention in our interview, right? Because in the interview ask that like what you did in your in the internship maybe, or in your learning time. So you can mention that, yeah, I have a project for the same and this we can do that. You can mention those, right? So we'll discuss as well, okay? And then the certification as well, so we have option for the same, right? And this company, real company, I'm not talking about those the pasting or all those things. The real world company using this kind of servers. Even though if you're not sure about that, I'll let you know, right? So what you can mention that on the Google, right? Linux OS used in companies, right? So you can mention that the most company are using these Linux and all those things, It's still our 3 and 4 thing, right? But when you check, when I show you the lists and all those things, what they mention, the Amazon, if you even the Amazons, Google, and also many companies are using the Linux based on why security feature, the virus protection, the customization, everything we have that you can manage accordingly, right? If you notice now, like top 25 big companies, Facebook, Amazon, HP's, Canonical, multiple companies using those, even though, okay, so Red Hat is also Red Hat actually, right? You wanted to check about what I'm talking about, Red Hat every time, so you can check that, right? So it's like, just like a Microsoft, right? It's like a software company that produce those open source environment and all those things. So you can check and all those, the content, what we offer, right? That I'm talking about the first one actually, the RHCSA part we can say there, right? And all those certifications and all, you can check that accordingly, right? So these are certifications we're talking about, the RHCSA and all. So you can check those details and all those things. So that you guys need exactly, right? The exams point of view and all those things, they are mentioned everything. Right, so we'll discuss that in the training part as well, right? So these company, real company, are using those kind of services and all. So what you can do that, you can simple deploy, you can simple check like the companies that are going to use these kind of services and all those things, right? Why we recommend that? Because we know the concept and all those things, right? We know that there is a lot of demand for the same, right? So these are some portals rating for R as well, like for the course content that we offer, right? I mean the Webasha technology offer for the same, right? So these are points and all that we are going to cover up that, right? 100% hands-on means the live we're talking about, Walid, I guess, right? Yes, because again the very first point, right? The very first point we mentioned there is all about the practical based sessions, right? It's all about the practical based session. It's not about theory. You cannot just try to remember everything. No, it's all the 110%. It's not 10%. We can say it's all about those practical based sessions, right? If you have a laptop, that's good. What we can do, we can simply create a setup over your lab. You can perform accordingly. Or if you don't have environments, what you can do that, you can simple take a remote login or our environment system. Then you can access that as well. Not a problem. In the exam, yes, it's like a scripting as well, Francisco. Yes, obviously you have a scripting part as well. We'll discuss, we have option for how we can automate, because earlier we mentioned that we have an automation part for the same. So we'll talk about how we can write a script to automate environment, right? In the bash, and also we have like YAML. That is Yent markup language. Ansible, maybe you guys heard about the Ansible and all those things, right? So these two programming we are going to learn, right, to automate our entire infrastructures. Okay, so these are the points. Now, guys, questions and answers sessions. So again, if you guys any questions on all those things, just unmute yourself, or maybe you can simply drop your question in the chat box, right? I'll help you accordingly. Okay, so price and all those things, right? It's not about the much price and all, right? Pricing and all will check those what I can say, that the availability for the same, right? And then we'll let you know. It's not about those pricing and all. It's like a minimum pricing for the same. So you can check and all those things, right? We'll let you know it's about that, right? So pricing and all, the management will let you know, but maybe they'll give you some kind of form and all those things, right? So yeah, so they mention the form and all, right? Just mention those forms, just complete this Google form, I guess, right? So the team will connect you, right? And they will assist you accordingly. Okay, I guess. Not exactly, Ratnesh, but the technology used in this blockchain actually. Okay, Dattatreya is not it's like ANS. It's like ANS, Ansible, right? So Ansible is like a automations program. It's like a tool that automate your entire infrastructure. Let's suppose what I mentioned, that you are admin of any companies, right? And I just say, I ask you like, I need to deploy or I need to add 100 number of users. Then what you can do that over the different machines, either just manually add every 100 of machines, or what you can do, you can simply write a kind of playbook, we can say the task, right? And you can simply trigger it out. That's all. So within a minute, not a minute even though, within a second we can say that it will deploy, it will create thousands plus servers at the same time, will manage that, right? So we can say it's like a automations tool that automate your entire infrastructures, right? You can build, or we can say it's like configuration management tool as well. It's like configuration management tool, we can mention that. A video is not a part in this particular RHL 9 because they deprecate those things, right? Now it's not a part of this particular EX200, right, Amar? It's like a data optimizer actually, right? But now and it's not a real, I mean in the version 8 they introduced for the video and all those things, but now video is not used actually in the real, because what content we offer that use in the real world. So that we are offering those content. The video actually introducing a real 8 version, but it's not a success and all. So they simply deprecate those video in this particular version 9. So that's the point actually. CK is this is a simple one actually, right? We can say it's also about a practical based training, and it's a different technologies to manage the container, right? If you need Rahil for those particular CK, so we'll take another session for the same. And in that case, we mention everything. Yeah. So because again, it's not a that webinar and all. So, but again, we are offering the CK as well, so you can check with the management. They will provide you the content or maybe the other things. Guys, for the pricing and all those things, just fill those details, right? We'll provide everything, right? So not about that actually. Training is free, right? Thus global certifications depend on you guys actually. So we'll manage everything. So don't worry about that, right? After the sessions, team will connect you, right? You guys just provide everything, your email ID especially, the phone number, right? So they will give you a real course content, right? And then just go through those content, and if any question you guys are facing there, just simple call them, and then they will help you out, right? So even though I just mentioned those number 2 as well, if you guys need that, or maybe the contact form, team, if possible, could you please drop a message, I mean the phone number or the mail ID in the chat box, so that is helpful to those guys if possible. Guys, questions, anything? So related to anything, any technical things, any technical word? Yes, everything. Yes. Obviously, we have mock tests. It's like a basic point actually, right? When you go inside this particular environment, all because when you go inside this particular world, right? So I mean the exams and all those things. So we know that like you are ready for the same or not. So yeah, we provide those. We'll share those after the sessions if you need that. Francisco is not any hard, but actually if you are not because of pro and all, right? If you practice everything properly, right, surely you will clear the exams. Surely 110% is just guaranteed for the same, right? We provide those the exam preparation weekends in the boot camp as well. So when you attend those things, we'll give you surety for the same. You will clearly definitely clear your exam. Anything we can use that, Zoom or Google Meet. It's not about that actually. Both options we have available, right? Even though we have a Webex as well, Zoom, Google Meet, multiple options we have available. You can use anything. We'll announce soon actually, right? We'll mention everything on those same point. Okay, yeah. So they mention on Monday, okay. Depend on like, that's why we are getting the detail from you guys. I mean the availability according, because most of the guys are working professional, all those things, right? So we'll check the availabilities, right? I mean the working professional guys. So accordingly we can start that. So maybe we'll start checking the availability, and then maybe start from as soon as possible. Yeah. So they mentioned the 15th, so we can start that. Yes. The course name you can mention. I think you can mention the RHCSA. Right? What you can mention that, Marjan, you can mention the RHCSA, yeah. right? Because we are talking about the RHCSA, right? Even though if I just show you our portal, right? This is our all official portal. Maybe you guys are visitor, I'm not sure about that, right? So we provide a multiple technologies, especially, right? The cyber securities, we are dealing in the cyber securities too as well. We are in the container based technologies. We have a like Microsoft, multiple technologies we have that. But again, what we recommend, if you came here like I wanted this course and all those things, so first we ask that you are a Red Hat, you know the Linux and all those things, because again we are technologies and all those things, right? So we'll check everything, and then I ask like what is that particular technologies and all those things. Then accordingly we can mention that, right? So in the Red Hat, there's a lot of technology you have that. You want to visit that. If I show that, like we have like automations, OpenStack, storage, public cloud, container, lot of content we have that, even though, right? And we'll also provide those kind of the cybersecurity courses as well, like the CEH, then web applications, right? Then the hacking forensic. Then we have like securities analyst. Then for the pen test and testing, for the threat intelligence, network defender, right? OSCPs. So there is a lot of options as well. We provide those in this. Okay, so might be you guys are getting error. Team, just let them know like in course error occurred, type email addresses. When you mention those things, so you are getting error messages. Anyone else is facing the same issues? Okay, if I mention those, let me fill those detail in front of you guys. It's working fine, I guess. Okay, so I just mentions 8485846227. Okay, so that's the point actually, right? If possible, team, could you please fix these issues now? Okay, I guess we need to fill those details too as well. I'm not sure about those, just let me check that. Okay, so they are probably for the same. Yeah, you guys are right. Okay, it's now working. Okay, guys, please check that if it's working. I'm not sure about that. I have to refresh one more time, I guess. Okay, so this time it's working fine, right? Okay, so now you guys can fill those details. So what we can do, that we can provide all the content, everything. But after this session, when we complete those things, right, we'll share everything. So don't worry about that, yeah. So any technical issues, okay, so any technical queries you have, guys, about any point of view? It's not about the RCSA, anything like automation, securities, cloud, or we can say the programming, anything you guys have, then yes, we provide everything separately, Marian, right? Over your mail, where we get those details for you. After, I mean, you fill those details, we provide everything. Because again, this details we cannot put in the publicly, right? Because maybe that depend on you and all those things, we cannot put it publicly, right? We join all those things, right? They have a proper detail and all those, we'll share those, and then you can use those, and then you can perform accordingly. Okay, so how many experience do you have in the full stack development? Just if you mention those points, so I'll help you out accordingly, right? So you can switch in that actually, it's not a problem, right? Because again, when you talk about the development part on all those things, like very, I mean, when you're talking about admin tasks and all those things, not using somewhere else, right? So you can switch in that particular, and then you can start because you are not a working, so it's not a way. You can simply switch and then start your career in the same thing, not a problem. Okay. So in the IoT devices and all this, what we can say, like again, it's like a small devices and all those things, right? So when we're talking about those Raspberry Pi, right, in this particular IoTs, right? So we can say in other word, right? It's not about including everything in IoT devices that provide the hardware information, like say you want to deploy or want to run any kind of we can say the application, or we can say the any devices. So what we can do, we are not going to deploy over the heavy servers and all those things, right? So what they offer you kind of small devices like a kit and a circuit and all those things, right? Where you can deploy and where you can run your IT devices, right? So this is not exactly relevant to this actually, the R content, right? But yes, you can automate and you can build your AI generated information, those particular devices and all those things. So in the hardware purposes, we are not mentioning those things, but again, to manage your IoT devices, right? What we can do, we can do some kind of program, right? That maybe automate your devices, right? We can say the AI smart and all those things. So that are going to helpful for the same. Yeah, that's great actually. Securities point of view, we can say that it's like ethical hacking security. Ethical security, we can do that. It's not about the hack securities, I mean the hacking, but you can say this is related to the, like let's suppose you have a camera or maybe you have a kind of devices over your home and all. So right, to secure those things, we need a kind of security. So that with the help of those, you can secure, with the help of that programming and all, you can secure those connections, right? Like we have a chatbot and all those things. We have a Siri, we have a like Google Assistant and all. So these are like, we can say small chatbot or IoT and all those things, right? You have a like Alexa. So again, so similarly, wanted to improve the securities and all those things, you can do kind of security programming in these particular devices to improve those securities features, right? So again, it's not exactly the cyber securities and something like that, right? Because when we're talking about the cyber securities, it's like a depend on the guys actually the public way, right? And security means what we mention exactly, how you can secure your infrastructure, maybe the company or maybe your particular, so that we can relate to that. But again, it's like a different things, right? But again, if you know some kind of programming and then automation, all those things, so we can say a 10 to 15% part you can include that, correct? So that's the point. So Rahil, what you can do that, I mean, yeah, so just not giving a proper answer. So if you are a good hands-on Linux and all those things, what we recommend, right, just go for the certifications, right? If you have global certifications now, so then you will get a proper, I mean, the company maybe the resume are going to filter those things, because the company now era, they need a certified guys, even though if we are getting a vacancies for the same, like we have multiple type companies and all those things, so every time they mention I need a certified guys from something RCSA, RSC, something like that, so they are mentioning those points as well. So accordingly you guys can manage those things, right? So if you have a good sense on the Linux and all those things, so what you can go for the certifications, the RCS certifications, and then we just provide you a kind of job assistant, then you can go for the same thing. So that's the point. That what we can do that, because again, if you know those concepts, not about to do the training. That what I recommend, right? But if you know, like if you don't know like what exactly Linux and all those things, if you just go for somewhere else, so it's an issues, right? So before that, our instructor, even though me or someone else, just took some kind of a basic interview question, like checking your labels, right? And accordingly, we'll mention for the go for the certifications and all those things, and then we'll assist for the jobs and all. So that we can offer you. Okay, yeah. Guys, other questions so far? It's like a architect, like Red Hat certified architect. RHCSA and RHC is a different thing, right? When we're talking about the RHCSA is like a starting one, the certified system administrator. RHCA means it's like a certified Red Hat certified architect, right? This certificate include 5 exams, right? So when you clear the 5 exams, we can say the OpenStack, I mean the cloud, the storage, the automation, the containers and all those things, the clusters management, the Red Hat satellite point of view, the security point of view, the Linux security, I mean the certificate, especially the securities and all, diagnostic and all those things, the virtualization, all those things. So maybe any 5 certification, when you clear the 5 certification, you will automatically become RSCA, that is Red Hat Certified Architect. Even though if I show you our portal, na, so here we mention those RSC about. I'll show you that quickly. This is a track. When talking about the RSC, so this is like when you explore those things, right? Here we mention everything, right? So this is a track actually, right? So except for this RSC, you guys need to complete 5 certifications, right? These are actually exam code. So any, it's not about these one actually. Any 5 certifications, when you clear those things, will become a RSCA, that is Red Hat Certified Architect, right? Rahil, I guess, I hope it's clear with you. So it's a different thing. So don't confuse about the RHCSA and RSC, right? RSC is not exam and all. When you clear those 5 certifications, you will automatically get a RHC certification. So in that case, actually, Marian, right, you should know little knowledge about those C and C++, okay, and then the Python. Okay, so if you know those kind of programming, then definitely I'll assist you accordingly. Because again, you're talking about the developing your own OS and all those things, right? So the source code are available. Open source is what we can say. The source code are available over the internet. What you can do, simple download it and customize. So to customize those things, you should know like knowledge about the code. Code means the C, C++, Python. Mostly program are written in the Python, all those things. You should know about those. Yes, we offer the CH as well, right? So if you just fill those details and mention in the course content, here you can mention those in the course content, like I need a CS, so maybe the team will call you about those particular CH program. So we'll offer the same thing as well, CH, right? So that we can check that. Thank you, Rahil. Thank you so much. Guys, any technical queries so far? Anyone, anything? Thank you, Marian. Thank you. Okay, so I hope the technical part, we can say not all are clear because it's not about those entire thing, but I hope, right, you will guys get that like what the agenda of this particular environment and the webinar and all those things and who we are, right, and what we provide, right? So what I recommend, just go for this particular portal and all. There is a lot of portal as well, so you can just simple go on this particular portal, right? Visit those things, everything is mentioned here, right? What you can do that, you can simple visit that, right? If anything required, you guys can please drop a message, maybe the mail, WhatsApp, anything you can drop that. Yes, it's for global, it's not about the India actually, right? We are taking care entire the world, so don't worry about the this point of view, right? So don't worry. Even though when you're talking about those the corporate training, right? So mostly we are from the Nigeria guys, right? Who are just taking this particular OpenStack courses. I mean the private cloud actually, right? So it's not about that we are talking about those India and all those things, right? So we have like a multiple different I mean the learner from entire the globe, so that we can recommend that actually, right? So it's not about that. Yeah. Okay, so just do one thing guys, all of you just fill those details, okay, Please proper mention your these course name exactly, like you guys are mentioning CS something like that, right? And if you guys more than those two, so you can mention like, I need a EX200, I need a EX294, something like that, or I need a CS. So the team will call you or just connect you accordingly as well, right? So they will provide everything, right? If anything maybe not, if you think that if something are not right and all those things, what you can do, then you can simply contact me as well, right? That is also available over here. Okay. So- okay, so you can also ping me accordingly, right? So I'll help you out as well. If you think any technical queries, not about those kind of sales and management, because I'm a technical guys actually, I'm not sure about those sales and all, right? So if maybe you think that like I need some kind of, what is the exactly, if you something like issues means we can say in doubt, like if anyone say that, nah, I need this one, so accordingly you can use. Yeah, so this is my LinkedIn profile. I'll ping you that as well. Just a moment, please. So this is my LinkedIn profile. If you guys want to do that, right, you can simply visit that, right? So I hope I provide the proper link. I mean, you guys need to sign in. Yeah, so that's me actually. So you guys connect that, right? So these are my, okay, so I here a login actually. Okay, so these are my details. So these are the certificates exactly. Okay, so I got multiple things. Okay, so these are a certification I have actually, right? Even though I thought I not uploaded certifications too as well. So yeah, these are a certifications. Like I mean you can also verify like your credentials as well. So you guys can verify too as well, right? So about the Red Hat, about the Microsoft and all those things, right? Want to verify those things, you can verify too as well from the Credly. Yeah, so this is very easy to and all those things. Right? So you guys can also verify those things about all the Microsoft certifications, right? This is the AWS and the Google, the Red Hat, the those variable analysis pen testing. So mention everything, even though I just missed to add 2 3s actually, 2 3 certifications, right? So these are, even though for the Google too as well, right? Google certified architect. I mean, the especially my domain is like cloud automation security. So these are like certification. So you guys can check that if you need that, right? I hope I'll share this proper link with you guys. Just check me one more time. Yeah, okay. Yes, +91. Yeah, yeah. So here they mentioned that. Correct. Marian. Thank you, team. So here they mentioned that, right? So just use that +91 and all those things. If any technical queries about anything, not even though I'm talking about the RHCSA, right? Anything, cloud, automation, securities, and container-based technologies, you can use that. So OpenShift Marine is like a container orchestration tool. I think you heard about the Kubernetes, right? I'm not sure about heard or not, right? So even the same thing, if you have a lot of containers means like a small VM, not exactly, but again, right? So to manage those containers, we need to manage those things. Yeah, so you know the Docker, right? So Docker command is the container, but again, Docker manages single containers. What about the thousands plus container? If you have like 1,000+ container in your environment, then how we can manage those? So I need a containers orchestration utility, that is Kubernetes and OpenShift. Kubernetes is managed and it's an open source project that is managed by Google, okay, and OpenShift is managed and maintained by the Red Hat. So these are the containers. I mean, overall we can say it's a container orchestration tool. You can check. You can say that, right? It's a technology, especially we can say that it's like a tool. It's like a utility that manage and maintain your containers. Because again, Docker and Pod manage single container, all those things. Wanted to manage more than 1,000+. So what I need that I need a that kind of concept that manage your containers, automate your container, auto scaling, maybe scale in, scale out, right? Self-healing feature, everything. So we provide as well the training as well, the OpenShift technology as well. So you guys can check that, the OpenShift, not here. Where is our portal? Yeah, that one. Right, we mentioned everything. So that is that known as a 280 as well and 180 as well. So it's the Kubernetes and all those things, and here you can mention that. So we are mentioned small point for the same, right? So here we mention that. And these are like what OpenShift and all those things. So these are point, right? Even though we have like a Kubernetes as well, the technology what we are going to use there. So you can simple deploy and then you can manage in that way. So depend, right? So it's like a containers management tool, or we can say containers orchestration tool as well, OpenShift. I hope it's clear, Mariam. Guys, clear with that? Welcome. Okay, so if all clear, so shall we wrap up now? Team, just confirm yes, no. I mean, or guys, if any questions on all those things, so we'll wait another 1 or 2 minutes, right? So you guys can ask something if you have in your mind. Anything, it's not about that. Anything you have in mind, you can ask that. Feel free, okay? So don't worry about that. And if you guys anything, let me know. Okay, so I think there is no any questions, doubt session, all those things, right? And so this is a LinkedIn profile I just pasted in the chat box, right? So you can simple, this is a profile actually, right? So you can simple connect on that, and then you can simple mention on those points, yeah? Shagun, I guess. Thank you. Okay, so we just wrap up for now. Okay, and again, if anything required, anything maybe after the session you remember line, I just forget or skip to ask this point and all. So no worry, you guys have a contact number, or this is our portal, right? And the number are available over here, right? The chat bot also available over here. What you can do that? You can simple WhatsApp or simple drop an email for the same. Then team will connect you accordingly and then perform those, like what the query you have there, they will solve that, right? So you can check that. We have like so we are in the India and also in the US as well. So accordingly, like you are in the somewhere else, maybe from the UK and US, you can contact on this number and all those things, right? And for that our mail, the landline, the India contact number, or maybe the other contact number too as well, we mention everything over the chat, so you can connect with that. Okay, so guys, thank you once again, all of you. Okay, and we just wrap up for now, and yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.